lovely people, and happy hump day. I'm kind of excited that it's Wednesday because it means this week is almost over, which of course makes me very happy. Sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. So, I am Teri True Crime, and welcome to Midday Missing, where I cover current missing person cases. Currently, True Crime and Wine Time Productions produces the podcast True Crime and Wine Time, The Hey Ho Show, the investigation into the disappearance of Chase Lackey, Night Court, Women on Death Row, and of course, Midday Missing. But guys, we have some new things that will be coming out soon that are very exciting. I will just tell you guys, we've got something new coming in September. And then in October, we have some really cool stuff coming out. And as Double H would tell you, I'm not the best with secrets, but I'm going to keep all of this a secret. So nobody ask me, nobody try to get it out of me. But if you want to send me a couple of cases of wine, maybe I'll tell you. Just kidding. In case JT's here, I'm not going to tell anyone. So, hello, Sam. Hi, Amy. Thank you guys for being here. Now, sorry, guys, I'm trying to figure out my camera situation. My first case today is, I'm going to be honest, not one I would typically cover because it has received tons of media attention. There is Netflix documentaries about it, but it's a case that has haunted me since I first heard about it. I bet you I've listened to 5 different podcasts about this case. I've watched the documentaries, I've watched the shows. So I decided I wanted to cover it because just maybe you guys haven't heard about it. But if you have, I'm going to tell you, go listen to Case Files episode about it because I think it's one of the best. So Amy LYn Bradley was born May 12th, 1974 to Ron and Iva Bradley. Now, in March of 1998, Amy joined her parents and her brother on a cruise with the Royal Caribbean Cruise Line, and they were aboard the Rhapsody of the Seas. Now, guys, I have to tell you, I have actually been on that boat. I had to go and look when I was married to the POS before Perfect Double H went on it. I wasn't sure. I couldn't remember if I had done Enchantment of the Seas or Rhapsody of the Seas. Beautiful boat. But guys, Amy was reportedly nervous about the cruise, but I couldn't find out what she was nervous or anxious about. And none of the podcast or things I've listened to have said much besides the fact she was just worried about being on a boat out in the middle of the ocean, which I have to tell you guys, I was kind of that way the first time I went on a cruise back in 1989, I believe it was, when I went to Hawaii. But the family set sail on Saturday, March 21st, 1998, from Puerto Rico. And initially, they were enjoying their time together. They were having a great time. Now, Amy's dad got the trip as kind of a reward for doing such a good job because he sold insurance. So there was also some people that they knew on the boat. So it was a good time for family, but it was also a great time to hang out with some people they worked with. Now, on Monday, as the ship sailed towards Curacao, I think it's Curacao. Somebody tell me, I don't know. Curacao, C double H is always there to help me. So Amy and her brother went dancing at one of the ship's nightclubs. Now, Amy was seen dancing with a member of the ship's band. He went by Yellow, but his real name was Alsada Douglas. Now, some people may not know this. Not all of the entertainment staff stays on the boat the entire time. They may get on at one port, get off at another port. And that's kind of what Yellow in his band did. Now, after spending some time there dancing in the nightclub, after some time, Amy's brother was like, I'm going to bed. I've had enough. And he returned to their cabin. Now, they had one of those special cabins. It was a large cabin, but it had multiple rooms. So they're called different things. But he left Amy behind and she was continuing to dance with Yellow. Now, she was seen kind of slow dancing, cheek to cheek, kind of that fun stuff that you do. But according to the records, Amy returned to her cabin about 5 minutes after her brother. So it was about 3:40 in the morning. So, guys, they were having a good time. Now, the siblings, Amy and her brother, they spent some time talking on the private balcony. And we're just, talking about how things went, how great everything is. And our brother was like, girl, I am too old for this. I need to go to bed. So he went to bed. Now, Amy reportedly fell asleep on a lounge chair on the balcony. Guys, I can tell you, I have slept on the lounge chairs on a balcony when we went on a cruise for Double H's 50th birthday. It's very soothing. Now, at around 5:30 in the morning, Amy's father, Ron, woke up and he saw her legs stretched out on the lounge chair. Her cigarettes were there, shoes were next to it. And he was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to bed. She's sleeping. Okay. He woke up around 6 a.m. and he thought he heard the cabin door closing. And when he looked out on the balcony, Amy was no longer lying on the lounge chair. So he just assumed, as I would have, that she had gone up on deck to have a cigarette and maybe watch the ship dock because it was a different view than what she could see from her balcony. But he found it strange that she had left her shoes behind. But he was like, maybe she just stepped out briefly, not going to worry about it. Guys, unfortunately, that is the last time Ron would see his daughter. Okay. Ron searched the ship, but he couldn't find Amy and he began to worry. So he went back to the cabin, woke up his wife and son, and together they searched the ship for Amy. They went looking on all of the different levels. When they were unable to locate her, they approached the cabin and said, hey, can you make an announcement asking Amy to meet us in this location? The captain refused, saying it's too early for us to be announcing over a loudspeaker into people's cabins. So no. So the family also requested that someone be stationed at the ship's exits to monitor passengers who are disembarking for carousel. But this request was also denied. Now, what I want to tell you is back then, I remember when me and my ex-POS went on a cruise for our honeymoon back in, what was that, 99, I think it was. They did not make you scan in and off the boat. So stationing someone there to keep an eye out was a pretty darn good idea that they've thought of. But like I said, the captain declined this. Okay. Now, the family continued their search and they were informed by ship security chief that a thorough search was being conducted. They were going to check every stateroom, every worker's cabin. They were going to do all of that. Now, the interesting thing, during the time when that was being done, Amy's family was still looking. Amy's brother encountered Yellow, and Yellow expressed his sympathy about hearing that Amy was missing. Kind of interesting, right? Now, finally, around lunchtime, the captain made that announcement, and she did not respond. She was nowhere. And guys, this is the part that haunts me. They finally realized, the family, they asked the security chief, did you do the search? Absolutely. But come to find out, they did not check all of the workers' cabins. They did not go check the laundry. They did not do what I would consider a thorough search. Okay. But they did call in the Coast Guard and they were like, oh, she was drunk. She must have fallen off the balcony. So they searched the waters. They found no traces of Amy. Okay. So the captain suggested, you know what? Maybe she went ashore before you guys and you just didn't know it. So why don't you go ahead and go ashore and search for Amy in case she's there, right? They did so. Now, I would have left some family on the boat. taken some, but guys, I say that, but I don't know what I would have done because you think the ship has been completely searched, right? Now, when they did, they immediately contacted the local police and the US Embassy for help. Okay. The US Embassy contacted the FBI. The FBI said it'll take us about 24 hours to get there. So the family was like, what do we do? They decided to stay ashore. So a lot of time the boats will pull into dock in the morning, and then they leave in the evening. I've also been on a ship where they stay overnight. This one was going to be leaving again in the evening. So the family decided to stay ashore, and the ship left port that evening onto their next destination. Now, the family did this because they were waiting for the FBI. Now, guys, during their time and their search, the Bradleys learned about the huge sex trafficking industry in Curacao, which I can only imagine sent their fears on overboard. It is a known place for sex trafficking and the sex industry. People actually will go there for sex tourism, which I didn't know anything about until this case. And I started going down, my face is itching. I apologize. I started going down some rabbit holes because that I didn't know that people went to certain places to go have sex with people who've been trafficked. I just don't get why you would want to. Now, they also discovered that the FBI really had no jurisdiction over the cruise ship as it operates under maritime law. What that means, guys, is when you leave the US port and you go out, you are not protected by US laws. The FBI can go and look and they can kind of assist, but they cannot force the cruise line to do a damn thing. And guys, that's a problem to me. Okay. That's a problem. I also found out one of the reasons a lot of the ships, the big shipping cruise lines, keep their ship registered in other countries is so that they do not have to follow US law. Say, for example, if they were to register the boat to Galveston, Texas, which I don't know why they would, but you could, they would then have to follow the Texas laws for paying people overtime, breaks, all of that stuff, which would put them out of business or make the cruises so expensive, nobody could do it. Now, when the FBI arrived, they, along with the Bradleys, flew to St. Martin, where the Rhapsody of the Seas was now docked. Guys, I have to tell you, I love St. Martin. It is a beautiful place. After I went there on my honeymoon with that previous POS, I actually got a little dog and I named him St. Martin because I love the island so much. I know y'all really wanted to know that, right? Now, earlier in the cruise, so for those of you who haven't been on a cruise, they're taking pictures of you all the time. When you get on the boat, you take those pictures. Then when you're at the party, you take pictures. When you do all of these different events, they take pictures, and they have this big area set up where you can come and look at them, and then you can purchase them. So the family was excited after, I think they're called their debarking photos. You go, they wanted to look at them. All of the pictures of Amy were gone. And they thought maybe somebody had just misplaced them because literally it's like a shelf. You pull yours off, you can put them back. They can get mixed up. The photographer said, hey, don't worry, we can reprint them. It happens all the time. Guys, it wasn't until later that the family was like, did someone target her? Did they take her pictures because they were interested in her? But you didn't think about it at that time. They didn't start thinking that until after she went missing. Now, I found this on some things that's kind of scary to me when people are leaving the boats and when they stop in port, they bring on food, take food off, new, entertainment staff's coming on. You may have staff members that are going to stay there for a couple of days. They're taking a holiday. You've got new staff. There's things coming on and off, containers of stuff coming on and off. And because they didn't station anyone, guys, Amy could have been drugged and stuck in a case to be taken off the ship. Nobody inspects those. They do not go through any type of x-ray. They don't open the laundry big thing and say, oh, let's see if anyone's in there. Guys, that freaks me the F out. I have been on multiple cruises. That freaks me out that you could smuggle somebody's body off. I could not find that the rules have changed for staff. They make sure staff logs off and on, but they do not, that I could find, inspect the cargo going on and off. So that is what I personally think happened. But like I said, it's just insane. Over the years, there have been so many tips called in about this case, and the Bradleys have never stopped searching for her. They have had tips that, hey, she's here, she's in this brothel. They've gone to look. I mean, they have done what I would do. They have gone above and beyond. Now, like I said, her case has been covered by so many news outlets. I want to tell you guys, after all of them I've seen, even the TV shows, I recommend listening to Case Files. It's episode 59. They thoroughly explore the strange circumstances around her disappearance and talk a little bit about some theories. Now, currently the FBI is offering a $25,000 reward for information regarding Amy's disappearance. And additionally, guys, the Bradley family is offering $250,000 reward for information leading to her safe return, or $50,000 for information on her current whereabouts. There are numerous theories about the disappearance of Amy. Some believe she was intoxicated and fell overboard, which, guys, then why did her dad hear the door close if she fell over, right? While others think she may have been drugged and sold into the sex trade. Now, regardless of the theory that you believe in, it's crucial, I think, to keep sharing her story because of the sex trafficking industry there, in seeing that and the fact that her photos were taken. He heard the door closing. I mean, I can see, I had to stop and think, I've left my cabin and not put my shoes on and walked out there just to run real quick, go out and look at something. I can see where she did that. Maybe she was going to meet Yellow out there for a quick kiss, talk about what they were going to do that day. But somebody definitely had their eye on her, and the fact that it is a significant hub in the sex trade. I mean, if Amy was indeed sex trafficked, there is still hope that she is going to be found. Okay. If she is still alive, she is going to need, and that family's going to need, a lot of support because she's been through it a minute. Now, it's also worth noting that Amy was a very strong swimmer and she was very athletic, which again makes the theory that she fell overboard less likely. Guys, I have fallen into water off a boat when I did a booze cruise. And guess what, guys? I didn't drown in Cancun. I could still swim, because I swam in high school, played water polo, still a strong swimmer. Maybe not as much now since I'm closer to death at my old age, but I do think somebody took her, and knowing that they could get stuff off the boat really freaks me out. Okay. Now, I also think if she had fallen over, the ship was already coming into port. Should have been able to swim that, right? And like I said, her father heard the door open and close. Now, as I said, Amy still remains missing, and her family is desperate to know what happened to her. It, as we all can imagine, has impacted their lives. The Bradleys have dedicated their lives to finding Amy. They have appeared on various television programs, working with law enforcement, private investigators. Guys, they're also out there doing the good work. They are involved in advocacy, raising awareness about the dangers of human trafficking and the challenges faced by families of a missing person. So they are turning their tragic incident into helping others. And guys, I think that is amazing. They also have fought to try to change some of the laws that happen on the boats. And I have to tell you guys, if I go on a cruise again, I'm taking a megaphone because if somebody I know goes missing, I'm going to be out there on a megaphone just going through screaming on it. What are they going to do? Kick me off the boat? I mean, really. The other thing, I will never again leave my cabin alone. Sorry, even if it's double H. And if I need to go to the restroom, he's going with me. Sorry. After knowing that there is no really rules or regulations and people are drinking a lot. And guys, Royal Caribbean is one of the nicer cruise lines. You know, it's not the party barge like Booze Cruises or Carnival. So I'm going to ask you all to please share the missing person flyer that I will repost on all of our social media. They have done some age progression. I really think she was trafficked, and I hope that she is still alive somewhere and that she is going to find her way home. Um, so be smart if you take a cruise. Now, guys, this next case is horrible on many levels, and I want to warn everyone that there are parts that could be triggering. And I should have put the little banner rolling on here. I forgot to ask JT how to do that. So I want to tell you there are parts that are going to be triggering on this. So giving you a heads up now, I'm not going to go into details, but I know it can still be triggering. So Celina Janice Mays was born on March 25th, 1984 to Teresa and CJ Mays. Sadly, Teresa died of a brain aneurysm when Celina was just 18 months old. Guys, that off the bat just breaks my heart. Teresa's family fought CJ for custody. They didn't think he was the best person to raise her. He had a criminal record. He had some struggles in his life, but they lost. Okay. And CJ remarried Celina. And guys, all of these names, excuse me, I misspoke. He remarried. And Celina lived with her father and stepmother in Willingboro, New Jersey. Now, guys, the family joined the Gospel of Christ ministry in Mount Holly, where Celina's aunt was the head pastor. So, very tight knit group, tells you right off the bat. Celina was homeschooled at the church. So, not at home. So, I don't know why it wasn't called church school, but the church didn't have an organized education program. So, she was homeschooled at the church with some other congregation's children. And guys, the family spent the majority of their time at the church. That was their community. They were just blocks, it was just blocks away from their home. Now, on the night of December 16th, 1996, Celina had a typical evening. She spent the evening at church. For some reason, I read some say the services were canceled, some say it didn't. Anyway, she was at the church and then she went home. And she enjoyed some ice cream, talked to her family before going to bed. Guys, what was not typical in my opinion, and I think should have been the big lead in this, but because other stories didn't, I didn't. Celina was 12 years old when she went missing. She was 9 months pregnant. Yes, guys, you heard me right. She was 12 and was 9 months pregnant. Now, before I get further into this story, I have to tell you, I have so many questions that I could not get answers to. Okay. Please tell me, why in the hell is a 12-year-old having a baby? Why? Why is there not someone who's been arrested for statutory rape? Okay. And why does everyone in the family talk to the media back then like it was normal? Maybe I grew up different, grew up Catholic, grew up in Houston. That was not normal to have a 12-year-old pregnant. Okay. Their body, just because you can get pregnant, doesn't mean your body is ready to have a child. Now, I get that they were religious. Now, per Celina's dad, he said she told him that the father of the baby was a 16-year-old who did not go to their church. But guys, they didn't press her for information. Now, I have to say again, excuse me, what in the actual hell? She is a child, and someone needs to be held accountable for her being pregnant. And guys, I'm going to just tell you right now, my granddaughter, Monkey Butt's 11. She'll be 12 in November. She comes up pregnant and she doesn't want to tell me how it happened. Oh, there's going to be a come to Jesus, and I'm going to cloud up and rain on her because she's going to tell me. Okay. I get she probably is embarrassed. She doesn't want to. Probably she's been abused. I am going to get to the bottom of it. Okay. In this family, I try not to shame victims. Celina's the victim here. The family didn't go after the person, and I have a problem with that. Now, the family said she didn't want an abortion due to their religious beliefs. And they said Celina was excited and was ready for the challenge of being a young mother. No. No, 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 no. Guys, I don't know. I think a 12-year-old, that's just too much. And then to expect the 12-year-old to raise the baby? They're 12. Now, she was just 2 weeks away from delivering the baby, which doctors have said they were going to need to deliver by C-section due to her young age. Her body couldn't give birth. So again, what in the actual hell? And why did the police and nobody get involved with the fact that a 12-year-old was pregnant? Okay. Now, Celina's 4-year-old sister found Celina's bed empty on December 17th, and all of her belongings still at home. Now, in the bed, the pillows and blankets had been kind of bunched up to make it look like someone was, in the bed still. Don't know who did that, but her father called the police that day and reported her missing. He really thought she maybe ran away because they had had conversations up to her disappearance about the fact that the blood test on the baby when it was born would be able to tell them who the father was. And they said she was worried about that. Guys, she was worried because somebody was going to get in trouble. And in my opinion, she had been threatened or something. That's just my opinion. Not an expert. Police search for Celina. And guys, they've looked into over 300 tips that have been called in. Guys, Celina nor her child have ever been seen. Okay. The family also said the police also said the family actually hurt the case. It is said that when the father reported her missing, he did not tell them she was pregnant for days. You want to know why? Because in my opinion, he thought he was going to get in trouble for not reporting that, right? She was homeschooled, all of the church. They were hiding something. Now, guys, this is where things get even more crazy, and all of my red flags are going off. Every little red flag, every hair on my body is standing up. In January of 1998, Sean Smith, the son of the pastor for the Gospel of Christian Ministry in Mount Holly, was arrested for having sex with young girls of the church congregation. Guys, that is Celina's cousin. Ding, 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 ding. How did the alarm bells not go off for everyone else in law enforcement? She goes missing, and then just a couple years later, her cousin is arrested for molesting young girls who were 13 and 14 that were members of the church. Hello. So, but Sean was charged with having sexual intercourse multiple times with a 13 and 14-year-old. And guys, once again, people get away with refusing to talk to the police. Okay. They refused to answer questions about her disappearance, even the cousin. And guys, that's a problem. Now, one of the newspaper articles I read said that Celina's dad, along with the rest of the family members, were in court supporting Sean at his bail hearing. What the fuck, guys? Your daughter was 12 years old, 9 months pregnant, and she's missing. And now your nephew has been arrested for molesting girls around the same age at this church where his mother's a pastor, and you're supporting him at a bail hearing? Please, guys, tell me. I get you can still love your nephew and not approve of what he's done and, in contact. You damn sure don't go to court and support him when your daughter was 9 months pregnant and missing. Okay. Now, many online and me think that Celina was molested by her cousin and that he was the father of her unborn child. Why do I say that? Because she went to the church and home. Their lives went around this church, which, guys, a lot of online say the church was a cult. And everything I've read, I think I agree with them. Okay. That was a cult. The pastor was in charge and handled everything. Now, the church is now an abandoned building. Okay. They lost their accreditation and they no longer were a church. Now, Celina's father, the aunt who was the pastor, and her cousin Sean Smith are all deceased, which means, guys, they can't be questioned. And if everything I read online is correct, they never were formally interviewed at length because they asked for an attorney. Once again, why do people have that right? I'm sorry. This is a 12-year-old. This is a child who's pregnant with a child. There should be something legally you can do to force somebody to talk. Okay? There should be. Now, there is a chance that Celina and her unborn baby are alive and were taken somewhere. She was 12. Maybe she doesn't remember who she was. I mean, there are just so many things. And there's a chance that they were both killed to keep the dirty secret quiet for the church. I, however, like to be hopeful, and I hope that Celina is alive as well as her child. And I hope one day through DNA that the family gets answers. I'm going to say the mom's side of the family, not the dad's side. They were all the church people. I'm going to say for the mom's side because they deserve answers. I did find a young lady who is her sister, the one that found her missing, has done some TikToks. She has done some great interviews. She is still looking for her sister. And one of the interviews I loved that she, talked in case Celina could hear her. She said, "Hey, our family is dysfunctional. It is still dysfunctional, but you will be safe if you come home." And I applaud her for doing that because I can't imagine it's easy. And I can't imagine that a lot of family members are not happy that she's doing that. But someone knows what happened. And just because 3 family members are deceased doesn't mean the truth will stay hidden. So someone else knows. As we know, everybody talks. And he was molesting other girls. People know. So I hope someone will come forward and tell the truth. Like I said, her sister continues to search for her and seeks the truth. So if anyone has information regarding Celina Mays, please contact Willingboro Police Department at 609-877-3000. Now, guys, we're going to end today a little different. So if you normally hop off because I do a cute little story, today I want to end by sharing some stories that should remind us of why staying hopeful is not the same as being in denial. Okay. I want to first tell you about Michelle Whitaker. She went missing in 2002 from a truck stop. For 6 years, her family and law enforcement feared and assumed she was deceased. However, Michelle was alive and well. Okay. Her disappearance was highlighted on a TV show, and a neighbor recognized her and called in. Michelle had left voluntarily after a fight with her mother, and guys, she thought no one would care if she disappeared. She was found and she was fine. Next is the case of Denise Bolzer, who went missing on January 17th, 1985. Now, there was a note found in the home she shared with her estranged husband that read, "We've got your wife." Okay, first things first. People, maybe y'all are different than me. Don't live in the house with your husband that you're trying to divorce. I'm just going to say it's not a good idea. But despite this note, the police suspected that Denise had not been kidnapped, but had run away from her life. A year after her disappearance, Denise was indicted for allegedly stealing from her employer. Those charges were later dropped. Her family hoped she would return once those charges were dropped, but they heard nothing from her. Her husband divorced her and moved on with his life. But guys, her family continued to search. 17 years later, 17, thanks to the internet, a private investigator found Denise, who had been living under a new identity. While, guys, her family was overjoyed to have her back, her current husband that she had married was shocked to learn the truth. Now, Denise possibly is going to face some legal consequences for that money and for faking her death. Not that she faked her death, but because she was falsely using someone else's information. So she was found. Now, Brenda Heist was a mother of a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and she was going through a divorce when she went missing on February 8th, 2002. Her children came home from school. They found the house empty. Their mom was not there. Police looked for no leads. Her husband had her legally declared dead in 2011 and remarried. Guys, April 2013, Brenda walked into the Monroe County Sheriff's Office and revealed her true identity. She had been living on the streets since her disappearance. So, guys, she thought living homelessly on the street was a better life than at home. That tells me something was going on, right? So I feel for her. However, guys, her ex-husband and children, they were hurt by the years of her being gone. They want nothing to do with her. And I find that sad, but I do think it still gives us hope again, like I said, that she was still alive. Now, this next case, I think everybody listening has heard of this. And if you haven't, I want to tell you, you don't know a lot about true crime, or maybe don't like missing persons. But Steven Steiner, he was abducted at the age of 7 by a pedophile and held captive for 7 years. He eventually escaped because the pedophile who kidnapped him decided to abduct another little boy named Timothy. Steven did not want Timothy to go through what he went through, so he and Timothy escaped. Okay. Steven was reunited with his family. Timothy was reunited with his family. Steven went on to have a good life, got married, However, several years after that, he did die in a motorcycle accident. But so, guys, just because someone's kidnapped doesn't mean they aren't going to be found. Just like this next case, Elizabeth Smart. She was abducted from her bedroom at the age of 14 and held captive for over 9 months by a couple. Guys, when I first heard about the case, I remember thinking, really? She had to have run away. Nobody's going to go into someone's house and steal somebody. Guess what, guys? Wrong. It happened. Now, after her case was featured on a TV show, someone recognized her abductor and called the police. She was then rescued and reunited with her family. She still works to bring awareness and works as an advocate. Now, this next one is also a crazy case. JC Dugard. She was kidnapped in 1991 and she was held captive for 18 years. During her captivity, she gave birth to 2 children. She was eventually rescued along with her children, and the couple who held her were arrested. Now, guys, the interesting thing about this case, when we lived in Brentwood, California, she was found in Antioch, which was just right like the town next door. I made Double H one weekend. I said, hey, I want to go see where she was held, because she was held in the back, sometimes under a tarp, a building, but there was wires running out there. But guys, 18 years she was held. Okay. And she gave birth to 2 children. She now lives a nice, quiet life, and raised her kids. Now, the last case I want to share that I'm calling our hopeful cases is about Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina de Jesus. And guys, they are a true testament to the power of hope. These 3 women were abducted at different times between 2002 and 2004 by a man who held them captive for years. Now, in 2013, Amanda managed to escape with her daughter, who was born in captivity, and alerted the police. All 3 women were rescued, and their captor was arrested and charged with 937 criminal counts, including rape, kidnapping, and aggravated murder, because he caused miscarriages in one of the victims. He was sentenced to life in prison without parole. I think the death penalty would have been better, but they don't do that in California. But he took the coward's way out and took his own life 1 month into his sentence. Now, I've shared these stories to emphasize that staying hopeful is essential. Hope fuels action. It also helps us cope with tragedy. It also encourages law enforcement and the community to stay engaged and to do something. It also honors the person who is missing. So I want to remind all of you and ask all of you, when you see the missing person flyers that we post on our social media, we have verified that these individuals are missing and that they are not a scam. Please continue sharing them. Getting the word out there could potentially bring one of the missing that we cover home. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do. Yes, some people say, but if they're deceased, guess what, guys? The family still would like to bring their remains home and bury them and have some closure. So it is still bringing them home. So please, let's try to remain hopeful and keep doing that. So guys, I want to thank all of you for joining me today. I look forward to seeing you all again on Monday for our next episode of Midday Missing. Don't forget, you can catch all of our productions here on our YouTube channel and our podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. For those of you watching on Facebook, I just wanted to say I would really appreciate it if you would head on over to YouTube. It is free to subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We do not get any credit for views on Facebook. We are going to continue streaming on Facebook because it's great. We want the cases to be seen. I just have had people say, oh, I watch on Facebook. Why do I need to go to YouTube? it just helps us when you subscribe. The more the podcast name gets out there, when I reach out to families and ask them to come on and talk with me about Midday Missing, it helps if they see, oh, they've got 800 people who follow them. That's 800 people more than who would see it. So, going to ask you to please do that. It is free. We also do have membership levels now on our YouTube channel. And coming in October, we will have special content that will only be for paid members. We will continue doing everything we currently do free. Don't have to pay for that, but we are going to do some special stuff to reward those members for paying. We also now have stickers. You can, if you think I've done a great job, or it's JT and I both, you can now give us stickers, which is telling us we're doing a great job. Keep doing what we're doing. You will notice if you are in our chat, people have different colored icons next to their name. That shows if it is our wine opener logo, that means that they are a paid member. So just want to say thank you to all of you that have paid for memberships and all of you that have gifted memberships, because you can also buy them and gift them. It means a lot to JT and me that your support, and it's one of the reasons that we are working hard to bring additional content. And we've got some new merch stuff that's going to be coming out. We've got some giveaways. We got a lot of stuff going on, guys. So once again, thank you for joining me. Make sure you, Hey Ho is on Friday night. Be sure to catch JT and Rude Boy. And I will see you all next Monday. Have a great weekend, guys. Stay safe. Watch out for crime and enjoy your wine time.